record this session. Yeah, the gig economy is a growing topic, and it's a very hot topic in our world. Firstly, it's very exciting, and also it's filling a very pressing need that we're experiencing. So we wanted to talk to you a little bit today about what is happening in the world of the gig economy. In other words, what happens in the world of freelancing, some of the highlights of it. We'll just explore the landscape a little bit. And from there, we'll go into understanding what are some of the challenges and why we came up with Surejobz as a solution to some of those challenges. So is everybody comfortable? By the way, in case you're not that familiar with Zoom, what you might find at the bottom of your panel, if you look at the bottom of your screen, there are some buttons that say reactions. So if at any point in time you'd like to give a thumbs up or a little applause, or any of the reactions, you're welcome to do it. For example, if you can see with my video, if there's something that you particularly like or that you particularly agree with, would be fantastic for you to let us know by just clicking on one of those buttons that comes up onto your screen. And other than that, if you've got any questions as we are continuing, please do type your questions in the chat. And we'll be keeping an eye on your questions, and at the right time, we'll just pause and address your questions as we go through. Hello, Kathy, welcome.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi.
Great. So we've got a couple of slides to take you through this evening. Let me just admit one more person. We have a couple of slides to take you through this evening. And we hope we're not going to bore you to tears. The idea here is not to have a lecture on a Saturday evening, but the idea is for us to have a nice engaged session. So we'd love for you to just join us. Feel free to pop any comments in the chat. That's great as we go along, and we'll get started. So I hope that everybody has a screen that you can see. That would be fantastic. I'm going to put up a presentation that we have.
Going to give you a video.
I don't want.
I'm getting some feedback, so what I'm going to do is just mute anybody who is not speaking at the moment. There we go. I'll just mute anybody who's not speaking. And if you have anything, please do put in the chat session. Okay, so welcome everybody to our Freelancing with Surejobz app webinar. What we'd like to take you through to this evening is speak a little bit about the current situation on the gig economy, understand what is happening, what the landscape looks like, and talk about how the Surejobz app is fitting into that. But before we start, I'm going to introduce you to this little guy, and this little guy serves to come in here and be our icebreaker for the evening. And in our icebreaker, I have a couple of questions that I would like to hear from you, because it's not just about us sharing information with you. We'd like to hear a little bit from you. So I have one or two questions that I'd like to find out about. So on your screen, right about now, you should have a question that pops up. And the question is asking you what your experience with freelancing is at the moment. And what I would love for you to do is just to vote on which one of these answers best suits or best fits your experience with freelancing. So when we talk about freelancing, have you been freelancing for a while? Are you a freelancer, an experienced or veteran freelancer? Maybe you're somebody who hasn't done much freelancing yet, tried it a little bit, and you're interested to do more. Perhaps you have tried it a bit, and one of your questions or concerns is, can I really make a living with freelancing? It seems interesting, but I'd like to make sure that I can support myself, support my family, and live the lifestyle that I want. Maybe the only experience you have with freelancing is that you hire freelancers, and some of you may have no experience at all. So I'd like to just take a moment or two. You should be able to see some live results that are coming up here. We've got almost everybody has voted. We've got one or two more people still to vote. But it seems like the resounding opinion or feedback from our audience at the moment is that most people on this webinar have not had any experience at all, which is perfectly fine. We're going to have this create a familiarity with you with this landscape by the time we are done. Second question for you this evening. is going to be, so here are the results of the first poll. So most of the people on this call have not had any experience of freelancing at all. Perfectly fine. Great, thank you. Second question, and there are only 3, so don't worry, there's not too many. When you think of freelancing, what kind of services do you think about? Do you think of kind of online services? And by online services, I mean things like digital marketing, maybe anybody who's able to work remotely, meaning you need a computer of some sort, you need to have an internet connection, and you need to be performing your services online. Or do you also think about offline services? And offline services could be things like having, I don't know, a handyman come over and do some work at your home. Or could it be something like dog walking? Or could it be something that doesn't require a computer, it doesn't require an internet connection? Or do you think that freelancing could include both? I'll give it just a few more seconds because I think there's still a few more people to vote. Don't worry, there's no test here, there's no right or wrong. We just like to get the temperature of your opinion. Okay, so the majority of the people on the call feel that freelancing or think about freelancing as both online or offline services. And there are a couple who view freelancing mostly as online services. And my third and final question to you in the form of a poll is, when you think of freelancers, who do you think of? So I've got a couple of options that I'm going to put up here, and I'd like you to have a look at them. And for this particular question, you can choose more than one option. So if you think of everybody, you can tick all the boxes or you can tick some of the boxes. But I'd like to know, when you think of freelancers, who springs to mind? So very often some people think of, shall we call them the youngsters, the hip early 20-year-olds, or perhaps late teenagers, and they are what we think of as digital nomads. So people who walk around with their laptops, they're in coffee shops all the time, they constantly click, 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 and working in a freelance lifestyle. Perhaps when you think of freelancers, you think of office professionals who take on contract jobs. So office professionals, it could be someone who's doing accounting or bookkeeping services. It could be someone who's doing some like administrative assistant work virtually. It could be any kind of activity that you usually find in an office that people then take and do as small-time, part-time contract work. Maybe when you think of freelancers, you think of someone who's had a professional career, they've retired, and yet they're not quite ready to be retirees. So they take on some projects and they do some consulting from time to time on a freelance basis. Maybe you think of freelancers providing lifestyle, home and garden services. And by that, I mean, it could be lifestyle means anything to do with maybe assisting with the kids, assisting with your general everyday work. Maybe it's someone who is a nanny to your children. Maybe it's somebody who takes your dog for a walk. Maybe it's somebody who performs a cleaning service in your home, providing handyman services, maybe gardening services, or anything around your home, your general everyday life. Maybe for you, a freelancer is just anybody who does any independent work. Maybe you think of freelancers as someone who's unemployed and just needs to get by. So finding bits and pieces of work that they can pick up here and there to earn some cash and to support themselves, maybe while they're trying to find their next job. And finally, maybe you think of students just trying to earn some cash on the side. So if I share the results, it seems like the majority of people on the call are thinking of freelancers as anybody working independently. And by independently, we mean that you do not have a fixed boss. You're not working as an employee of any particular company. And I see we have a couple of others. So independent workers are the highest category here, followed by the youngsters, the digital nomads, unemployed people trying to get by, and students earning some cash on the side. Perfect. Perfect. All of these are good answers. Fantastic. So when we speak about freelancing, freelancing falls under the category of what is called the gig economy. And the gig economy pretty much is the area where we give recognition to people who are working outside of formal employment. You're not in a full-time job, but your lifestyle is made up of small gigs for which you are paid, and by this you support your lifestyle. And so in the gig economy, it's a growing space in the global economy, and it's estimated currently to be a $4.5 trillion market. So the gig economy is not a small activity, it's something really significant, and it makes a huge contribution to our global economy, certainly to any local markets economy. And what we want to express today is that it is really significant in terms of how we can tap into this gig economy to support ourselves, to support our families, if we are freelancers ourselves, and also if we are on the other side of the equation, the ones who are looking to hire freelancers. There's a lot of choices, a lot of opportunity out there. To take you through what a little bit of this freelancing world looks like. Different parts of the world are a little more mature in terms of who is hiring freelancers or where it's more popular. The North American market is by far the most advanced globally. So you'll find a lot of the statistics that I mentioned on this call today are going to be North American based, US based, simply because they are the most advanced. North America and Europe are quite advanced. That's not to say that there is not a market in other parts of the world. In fact, this is where we see the greatest opportunity, because as soon as the trend is spreading and we are able to tap into that trend and facilitate and enable more of a gig economy, we expect to see it really taking off in places like Africa, Middle East, and Asia. If you look at the gig economy, most freelancers so far and up until present time have been pretty much between the ages of 18 and 44. That's where the bulk of freelancers are fitting. I believe that there are going to be some of these statistics that are going to be changing quite quickly over the next few years, because we've had a shake-up in our global economy. We've had a shake-up in how things are working, and I'm going to come to that in a little bit. But for now, so far, the gig economy has been made up of on the younger side of the demographic. So far, we're seeing that freelancers tend to be more men than women. Again, this is a demographic that I think will dramatically change in the near future. I think that more and more women, I believe more and more women are enjoying the flexibility that freelance work is able to bring. And we see this as a growing trend. So watch the space, ladies. I think more and more freelancers, we're soon going to overtake the men in this dimension. In terms of educational background, freelancers are coming from all walks of life. You've got people who have, for sure, a bachelor's degree, or they have some sort of a qualification. You've got master and PhD, and you have a lot of people as well who have no degrees whatsoever. And everything is perfectly fine, because there are so many opportunities and so many different types of work that takes place in the freelance world. Now, when it comes to where are freelancers working from, it stands to reason that a lot of people work from home. 86% of freelancers work from home, but there are a few other options. And I think, again, following our recent global shakeup, what we're going to see is not a work from home situation going forward. We're going to see a work from anywhere situation going forward. And this is really important. So as far as there is a comfortable place to be seated and a comfortable place to have access to the internet, if you need to be connected, or if you're working on a client site, you will have freelance activity taking place. And the reasons why people choose to be freelancers typically is around having flexibility in schedule. This is why I think that women especially are going to get more and more into the freelancing world. But the habit of going to a traditional 9 to 5 or 8 to 6 work where you have to clock in, clock out, and have this sort of supervision is becoming tiresome. And I think we've all learned that it's not necessary to be working on time-based, but rather on deliverable-based. And more what we want to see is not a work-life balance. What we want to have is a seamless lifestyle where we're able to manage ourselves and manage our projects accordingly. So this habit of working in a way that you can control your life, your whole lifestyle, is becoming much more attractive to people. So that's one of the main reasons why people choose to freelance. Being my own boss, working from anywhere, I think these are self-sufficient. I don't think we need to explain that. I think most people can understand why that would be attractive. Also avoiding office politics. If anybody has worked in corporate offices or in big companies where there's a lot of office dynamics and office politics and you just get fed up with it and you'd rather just focus on the job and ignore all the other headaches that come with having to deal with all of those kind of politics, I think you can understand why freelancing can be a very attractive option. As well as we said, being able to pursue personal passions, juggle what you want to spend your time and attention on, and focus on creating the lifestyle that you would like for yourself. And this is becoming much more important. Too many people have become familiar with what burnout is all about. And people want to have greater control of their lives, and freelancing is a very, very attractive option for that. Now, on top of that, you have, of course, the attraction of earning extra money. It's not to say that you have to only be freelancing or only be employed. There are many people who have, what we call a side hustle, or you're doing something outside of your formal, regular, or let's say daytime job. And this is, on a freelance side, you can earn quite a bit of cash and maybe at a certain point in time realize that you can actually step out of formal employment and go straight into freelance. And when we speak about freelancing, typically most freelancers are juggling 2 to 3 or 4 projects at a time. Now here's a big question, is how secure do freelancers feel in their employment? And for those who manage to get it right, you'll find that they either have almost half of the population of freelancers feel more secure than they did when they were in formal employment, and another 34% feel around about the same. So I think that's really significant, because if any of you have ever been in a situation where you're working in a job, you're working for a particular company, and there are rumors out there that perhaps there are going to be cutbacks, and maybe you feel for some reason or other you might be in the firing line, and maybe when the list of names comes out of people whose jobs are being closed, your name might be on that list. It's a terrible feeling to live with. It's a terrible feeling to wonder if somebody else is going to be taking decisions that affect your life. And for many people, stepping into an environment where they feel they have more control over being able to manage their own employment by means of applying for projects, being involved in projects, and working in that kind of an activity, there's actually a lot more feeling of security and emotional security around that. Which leads, of course, to the question of, are freelancers happier? And significantly, most people are seeing that they have an increased feeling of well-being. Their stress levels go down, they have a better quality of life, and that, generally in terms of sleep, health, etc., there is an improvement. So we were expecting to see that by around this time, 43% of Americans, and I'm speaking about the US here because it has the most maturity in terms of collecting data, but we were expecting to see around 43% of Americans would be freelancing by 2020. And around 50% of Americans would be freelancing by 2027. So we're expecting an upward trend. But this statistic was pre-2020. And we know that 2020 has changed quite a lot in this world for us. But before we get into that topic, what's interesting is that for many people who were in traditional employment before, who left and then became freelancers, they've said that they would not switch back to traditional employment, even if it meant more money. Because as far as you are meeting the needs for your everyday life and for that of your family, the benefits of being a freelancer have outweighed being in a traditional job. And I think that's quite a significant statistic to look at. 51% of freelancers surveyed said there's no amount of money where I would go back to having traditional job. But 2020 happened, and in 2020 we had an economic shakeup. And this economic shakeup, I'm sure we all know what this is about because we've all experienced every single thing that you see here on the slide. COVID came along, we've had a global pandemic, and this has brought changes to our everyday life. It's brought changes to our working environment and to the way that our economy is functioning. That will never be the same again. And what that has brought mostly is the impact on unemployment. And this is an area where so many people's lives are being touched. So far I've spoken very much about freelancers and the statistics around people who've chosen to be in freelancing environment. The reality is that there are going to be a lot of people who are out there in the market at the moment, not by choice. And so, as we've seen many different industries, many different countries, many different regions of this world, the economic impact has been tough, and it has resulted in rising unemployment in the formal sector. So just to share a little bit with you, I'm from South Africa originally, so I keep an eye very much on what's happening. I don't live in South Africa at the moment, but I'm very much in tune to what's happening in my home country. And in the first 3 months of the global pandemic, there were 3.2 million jobs lost. Not 3.2 million people who lost their jobs, which happened as well, but 3.2 million jobs disappeared because companies had to close down, businesses had to do right sizing, there had to be redundancies as a response to the pandemic. So immediately in a country that has high unemployment, you have another 3.2 million people who are out there and 3.2 million jobs that were lost. So for the jobs that do exist, there's going to be tougher competition to get there. What happens? People need to find an alternative way to create a livelihood that's sustainable for themselves, for their families. And this is where we see that the gig economy offers an amazing set of opportunities for people to find other means to earn a living, to put food on the table, to educate their children, to live the lifestyle that they want. So if you look at this particular slide, you're going to see a lot of different images here. And I think what we can say is that if you're looking at this part, looking at the classifieds, newspapers to see what job posts are there, to see how you can apply for it, and then going to sit in an interview, in a queue to be interviewed and to apply for that, that's still going to happen. And maybe newspapers don't exist anymore having job adverts. Maybe it's all online these days anyway. But the point of it is that this will still be there and that will still happen, and that's okay. But the competition is fiercer. The demand for jobs is higher and the supply is higher. There are more people than jobs than there ever were before. So it sounds a bit like doom and gloom, but let's get to the positive side. There is a growing gig economy. That means that more and more there is an appetite for businesses and people to hire those who have services to offer directly. There is a growing appetite for that. And there is the means for people who have services to offer to put them out there and to be hired. And you don't need to be working for a company. You don't need to have a boss in order to do that. And this is where Surejobz comes into the picture, because we want to facilitate that and make it easier and more effective for people who are into freelancing to be found, to be hired, to be paid. We want to increase the employability in a way that everybody has control by being able to get themselves out there, get themselves noticed, and get themselves hired. So if you look at this, there's one comment that I'd like to make, is that whether we're speaking about the lady who is, let's assume she's a designer, working in a coffee shop or a tea shop somewhere with a client, whether we're speaking about people who come from a professional or corporate background sitting, looking for something, whether we're talking about the person who is amazing at being able to alter clothing, a seamstress, a dressmaker who's able to do this, whether we are talking about people who are available and sitting out there waiting and ready to perform handyman jobs, to perform project work, to do contract work, who are able to go to a building site and to perform the labor that needs to happen at a building site. We need solutions for everybody, because everybody that I've just described and more are people who are in the gig economy. They have skills, they have talent, they are available, and they're qualified. We just need to match them with the people who need their services and who are looking. So in the shadow of the coronavirus, we expect the demand for freelance services to go up. What we've seen already is that there was a great increase. And what we predict is that the demand, more than 50% of people are predicting that the demand post-pandemic will greatly increase. And I think we can all imagine that. I don't think that's a shocking statistic for anybody. We're all going to see that the demand is going to increase. And so there's a lot of opportunity there. So the key takeaway that we would like to share with you this evening is that freelancing is quickly evolving to be one of the primary sources of income for people across the globe. It doesn't matter where you are on this planet. It doesn't matter what skills you have, because across a wide range of skills, a wide range of needs, there is a growing need for freelancers. If you are a client in need of good help, there is a great source of talent out there at your fingertips. If you are somebody who's looking to participate in the gig economy by being a freelancer, there is a huge ocean of people out there who are looking to hire your skills. And you can create sustainable revenue streams, whether you need a side hustle to earn extra cash, whether you need to have this as your bread and butter, whether this is your main source of income, there is opportunity and there is a market out there for you. But there are challenges that come with this. There are challenges. And the first challenge that happens is one of trust. And this trust happens on two sides of any equation, of the trust equation. If you are someone who is looking to hire a freelancer, how can you trust the commitment of your freelancer? How can you trust that this person can deliver what they say they will deliver? How can you trust that if this is a digital service that you are hiring, and the person who's delivering the service is sitting somewhere on the other end of the world, that they will be able to deliver your service, and that it doesn't matter where they are from, they're not going to run away and disappear. That you can trust when you enter into this contractual relationship. If you are looking to hire somebody in an offline world, if you are looking to hire someone who's going to perform some services that are going to touch on your home, your family, your lifestyle, how do you know that you can trust to invite that person into your home? How do you know that you can trust to invite that person into your personal sphere where your most precious family members, your most precious items are? And on the other side, if you are a freelancer, how can you trust that the person who's hiring your services will do what they say they will do? When you give up your precious time, your precious intellectual capital, your know-how, you put in your blood, sweat, and tears, you put in the hours, you put in the dedication to deliver, how can you know that the person who's hiring your services has the integrity to have a decent relationship with you and to pay you as expected? How do you know if you are a freelancer going into somebody's home sphere that you are safe? Because personal security as well as business relationships all come under the umbrella of trust. So if we know that there is somebody who is verified, that they have a track record, that there are ratings, that there are comments, that there is an identity that has been independently verified and many somebodies are able to vouch for them, we feel a greater sense of trust. The second challenge is a debate which is about local versus global. And this is a debate that's been going on for a very long time. We want to support our local communities. We all want to support our local communities. We love the idea about that. But there is globalization as well. And with globalization comes more choice and greater competition. So, for example, if you are sitting in a place like, well, at the moment I'm sitting in Switzerland. And one thing I can tell you for sure is that Switzerland is a place that has a very high cost base. A wonderful thing for me in terms of globalization is that I don't have to pay Swiss prices necessarily. That I can work with people who have talent and who are offering competitive rates from other parts of the world. That's an upside. But the other side of the equation is that I want to support people who are in my community, because I know that there have to be people around me who have lost their jobs, who have lost their livelihood, or who are struggling for whatever reasons, and they have talent and they have what I need, and I want to be able to uplift my community. And it's hard to know how to find solutions for what I need, both in a global and in a local market. So globalization and localization have pluses and minuses in all directions, but what we're getting down to here is the challenge around choice. And what if, because you cannot have the visibility of people in your local community, you end up hiring globally? And yet you did not know that the person next door in the next street, who goes to the same church as you, whose children go to the same school as your kids go to, what if you did not know that those people could equally perform the same service? And if you did, you may be more inclined to support your local community. What if you're looking for global talent because you're looking for skills that are outside of what you have immediately around you? So local versus global, this is a challenge that can be there. We aim to address that as well. But I've just spoken about visibility. And here we have this very sweet little child who's hiding in the closet amongst, let's presume, his parents' clothes. And yet this is what happens with so many freelancers, or so many people who have potential to be freelancers. I'm sure that if you take just a few seconds, every single one of you can imagine at least one person who you know who has the most phenomenal talent, and they do not monetize it. And the reason they do not monetize it is because who would pay for my services? Where would I find clients? It might be that that person is very shy. It might be that they just simply don't know how to get noticed. So visibility is very important, because you can have all the best intention in the world, you can have all the talent in the world and all the time in the world, but if people don't know where to find you, and if you cannot be found, you're not going to be able to grab hold of those opportunities. And the last one is about fragmentation. And I chose a picture here of a honeycomb, in a beehive, which is maybe a strange picture to put in terms of fragmentation, but this is what I think of when it comes to searching. So if I happen to be looking for someone who's able to perform certain services, there are some things that I will use Google for. There are some things that I might use Facebook and go into certain groups or pages that I belong to on Facebook. There are some things that I might go onto other kinds of freelancer apps. There are some things that I'm just going to start asking people that I know. Hey, do you happen to know somebody who's a great person to do this task that I'm looking for? There are so many different places that you can look, or you could seek, or you can find, and on some levels that could be good. But you know what? It's also exhausting, because what if you're looking in the wrong place for the wrong thing? So fragmentation is a problem, because there are all these different places that you can look for different solutions, but they're not integrated. And it makes me smile a little bit, because there was a time, a few years back, I have to say that my parents are now almost in their 80s. They're in their late 70s, heading towards 80. And I have to say that they're quite technologically with it. However, it wasn't that long ago that if we had to think about anything, my mum or dad would firstly say, let's get the yellow pages, because in the yellow pages are the answers to everything. Of course, the yellow pages got replaced by Google, and Google got replaced by other things came along. But we want to make sure that there's a one-stop shop for being able to find everything you need, whether you are the person who wants to put your services out there, or you're the person who wants to look for people to solve your challenges. And you know what? Everybody can be both a freelancer and someone looking to buy services. So I don't want to put anybody in a particular box, because everybody has a need and everybody is able to offer a service. And so for these particular challenges are the foundation upon which Surejobz was invented. So in a little while, you'll meet Alex, and Alex is going to come on and he's going to say a few things about Surejobz. And Alex has been puzzling over these challenges for a long time, and it's bothered him. It's bothered him absolutely greatly. It's been like this itch that needed to be scratched, that something had to be done about the fact that there's a growing need, that there's 4 talented people, and that there is a growing pool of talented people, and how do we match them? At the same time, overcoming the challenges inherent around trust, around having both global and local options to be satisfied, about having the visibility and killing the fragmentation. And from all of that, Surejobz was created. So this idea was born, and it's something that everybody should be taking seriously, because whether you're either looking for work or you're looking to hire people, we believe that Surejobz has the solution for that. So what we've created here is an app. It's as simple as that. It's an app. And Alex has come from a developing world. I've come from a developing world. Many of the people working in it are from the developing world. We've made sure that we have a solution that works equally well in the developing world and the developed world. We want to make sure that we are neither assuming that everybody has fantastic internet and fantastic access to everything. We've created something that is simple yet effective and can be used equally by somebody who is in the rural areas of Africa, of Asia, of South America, of North America, of Europe, as by somebody who's sitting in the heart of Switzerland, Ireland, London, New York, New Jersey, wherever. So this is fantastic. I think knowing that everything that you have in Surejobz is simply at your fingertips. So what we've created is a multi-skill freelance marketplace. And this marketplace, we say it's multi-skill because we cover everything, whether it's offline services or online services. So you can use Surejobz app as the place to find the freelancers that suit your every need, from the home, garden, lifestyle needs, to your digital services, your professional services, anything and everything you need, you can find, because we've got a ton of categories in the Surejobz app. And at the same time, you as a service seller, in other words, a freelancer, you have multiple categories to be able to fill, to advertise and to promote your services. The app is available in iOS, so that's for all the Apple users out there. It's available in Android, so anyone who's a non-Apple user, and it's available as well as a desktop. But we've made sure that the mobile apps are especially good. You know, sometimes you find that some platforms work mostly well on your desktop or laptop computer, and you've got an app, but the app is so-so. What we've made sure with Surejobz is that the app is the primary, is one of the strongest, because not everybody has access to a desktop, not everybody has access to a laptop, but most people have access to a smartphone of some sort. And we've made sure that the Surejobz app is optimized for that. So what you're going to find is that it's clean, simple, crisp design. There are some nice features, but there are not a huge amount of bells and whistles. We just want to be able to get the most critical functions there at your fingertips without too many distractions. Notifications coming to you so you don't miss a thing. And we've optimized the app so that if you are in a place, or if any user is in a place where you have to be thinking about bandwidth, where you have to be thinking about data usage, where maybe you've got a cap on data that you need to use for your, for your smartphone, your handphone, etc. It's optimized for that. So it's not going to chew through your monthly allocation of data. You're going to be able to use it just about anywhere. So introducing the team, and I'm going to stop around here. I feel like I've been hogging this webinar, and I'm going to hand over to introduce you to Alex, who is the brains behind Surejobz. It came out of his mind, but also, as I said, out of the heart and soul of the problems that Alex wanted to solve. So Alex, let me hand over to you to say a few words about Surejobz and see if you'd like to take any further. If there's anything I've left out, please feel free to reinforce.
Cool. Thank you. And chalk knuckle there. So thanks a lot, Bridget, for taking us through those slides. What I'll just do here is share my screen and show you the landing page. You're on mute. Yeah. Cool. So this is the Surejobz landing page. So in many of our ads or through social media, this is where you arrive at. And on this landing page, we have two major call to action buttons. Download the app and use the web app. So if you come here, you're ultimately going to be able to download the Android or the iOS app. And the iOS app is will be out soon. We just have a little bit of tweaks here and there. But the Android app is ready. So let's say, for example, you're accessing this from your phone and you click on Android Seller. It brings you to the Google Play Store where you download the app, and you just follow through with the on-screen instructions. On this same page, if you scroll all the way down, you can also access the buyer app. So they are split into two. You have the seller app and you have the buyer app. The seller app is where freelancers will register, and the buyer app is where people who are looking for those services will register. So just to click on that, this is what it looks like. And there's a simple explainer video there that tells you what to do. So for the purpose of this presentation, I'm going to use the web app. So anyone can use this if you're using Android or iOS. So let's try to register as a seller. So we do this exercise. So I'm going to act like I'm just coming to Surejobz for the first time, and I'm going to register as a seller. So you arrive here, you click sign up, and put your email. I'm sorry, you sign up. So you start with your name. So let's say Surejobz webinar. Put your date of birth. Let's say it's 1990. And then you have, let's say you write your bio here. Gender is male. You click next. If you haven't input anything there, it's going to tell you, and then you can do that. So next, your address. You can take just the country, say Ireland. And then automatically your state pops up. In this case, our account is here in Ireland. And then you go to next. So this is where you put your phone number. You want to put your code. Put the phone number. And then this is very important when you choose your service type. So we have 92 categories here, which cuts across both physical and virtual work, just the way Bridget has explained. So you can see here we have pest control. This is somebody that would physically come to your home to do something for you or your office. So let's say I'm an ICT project manager. And then you put your password. And then you indicate what price you want to charge per hour, per week, per month. This is just me putting what I think I might want to charge. And then you have our terms and conditions. Scroll through this, and then you can X that here. And be sure to click on the agree button, and then you sign up.
I'm serious. What do you like to put the president?
So let's sign up. And this sends an email for you to authenticate. So you get this email that comes through into your box, tells you your username, tells you your password. Of course, this will be your email, so no one will be seeing your password. But just for convenience, you have that. You can just delete this email right away. And you click on confirm. So then you log in. Put your password in there. You can click remember me if you want, it doesn't matter. And so then you log in. Once you log in, there's a pop-up that tells you that you'll be having 2 retests allowed per week. And you need to get 7 questions of 10 for you to pass, at least 7. If you get below that, then you will not have passed the aptitude test. And what that means is you will not be showing up to the service buyers. So it's important to get through this part, and they are very simple questions, as you see. So they are basic aptitude tests, and we'll go through them together. So question 1, How many sides has an octagon? I hope I don't fail. Which traffic light follows the green? Most upset customers will calm down if you offer a sincere apology. I believe that's true. So as a service seller, what would you do during this pandemic if you work at a client's house? Wear a hat, wear a trouser, wear a mask and gloves. This is most probably it. Where is the South Pole located? It's Antarctica. When dealing with an abusive customer on the phone, it's important to hang up right away. That's false. We smell with our nose. So you can see these are very simple questions. What year did Mark Zuckerberg invent Facebook? It's 2004. How many days in a week? 7. What is the planet Earth covered with? And that's water. So these are questions that are just basic questions just for the system to be sure we are getting the right people in, people with basic or general knowledge about things in life. And so then it tells you you've passed the test. And then you get this little tick button there that tells you that you've passed the test. Your name is there, your star rating. You can put an image if you want to, or any other thing, most probably an image of yourself. So you can see my name, my last name, my email. I have, the company has the email of the seller. So this is grayed out. You need to contact us for us to change your email for you if you want to do that. Your phone is there, is grayed out as well. So these are security things that we have about the seller. The seller's name, email, phone, date of birth, right? So this is something we have just to give the buyer some kind of confidence that we have some ID on the seller they'll be dealing with. And then you can see the service type, my pricing. To the left here, we have a menu pane, and this would show you your earnings. So you can input your earnings manually. Say, for example, I did a job and I earned, say, 100 euro. I submit that. And then some other time, I probably did another job and I earned 50 euro. I could submit that. So the system calculates this automatically. So there you can have, see, I've added 100 euro and 50 euro, and there's 150 euro calculated for you automatically. Here you have the ratings. So if you've worked with a buyer, they're going to pop up here, and you'll have the opportunity to rate them. Your notifications come up here. So this is an activity for today. This is my profile, same as the dashboard. Help and support. So here you can ask questions. If you have any problems, you put them here and click send button, and somebody from the admin side will be with you. You can promote your profile as well, just to make your profile more prominent. And you could also advertise your business. This is FAQ, About Us page, Policy page. So let me take you through to the buyer profile. I won't have to go through the sign up. I'm just gonna log in so you see what it looks like. So I'm in Ireland, right? And I've registered as an ICT project manager And because this is Ireland already, because my location is Ireland, it's bringing this service category. And once I click into it, that's the profile I just created. So here, let's assume this is the service I'm looking for in my location. All I need to do is click on this. But before that, I could filter. I could filter per hour, per week, per month, or by rating. And then I click that, and then I say get contact. And here you can see for contact information, you need to pay €5. So this is where the buyer pays to get the contact of a service seller. And there's a discount for the buyer on their third purchase if their rating is between 3 and 5. So we're not buying this, this is just a demo. So this is how it works. You can choose up to a maximum of 5 service sellers. So let's take another location, for example. So you have a fair idea of how this works. Then you can also search here as well. So let's see. Let's pick a country. Let's say, for example, Nigeria. I want somebody to do something for me in Nigeria. So these are the service categories in Nigeria. Say, for example, I have my mobile phone, my mobile app right there in my hand, and I have a breakdown. I can come here and pick somebody, contact them. So what this does is when I click on contact and I pay, this opens the contact details for the seller. So once I do that, I get the seller's name, the seller's email, the seller's phone. And then I can make that negotiation outside of the app. So this app is like a digital yellow pages, if you like. And we currently have 92 categories to choose from, and this will continue to grow. Hopefully, in the future, we'll be developing a Surejobz Academy to help people who want to get skilled to have the opportunity to do that. So I'll stop sharing my screen, and I'll just have Bridget to say a word or two.
Thanks, Alex. I think it's a good first taste, I think, of what Surejobz App is all about. There are many different features and that can be explored. So we have just about come to the end of our allocated time, and I'm sure that everybody would like to get on with their Saturday evening. So thank you for staying with us, for seeing what we have to share with you. And then just the only thing that I will put up very briefly on the screen, and I'll just leave it here for a couple of seconds, is to say if you'd like to contact us, this is how you can get in touch with us. We are also on, there is a Facebook page, there is a LinkedIn page, you'll be able to find us. There's a Twitter page, the profile that you're able to follow us on as well. So we're on all social media. We're quite active on social media. You can find us here as well. So you're welcome to be in contact. So I think, Alex, we will just leave the lines open for another couple of minutes. And if anybody would like to stay and ask any questions, you're more than welcome to do so.
Absolutely.
And if there are no further questions.
Hello, my name is Prince, and I want to ask, is it available on Play Store yet?
Alex, you're muted. I'm sorry, you've had an echo there.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Hi, Prince, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. So we have it on Play Store, right? And we also have it on iOS, but the iOS is going to be launching very, very soon. But it's live on Play Store. You have the seller and the buyer app on Play Store. But if you're an iOS user, that is if you use Apple, you can use the web app, just as I've shown.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you.
No worries, thanks. Anybody else?
Thank you, Princess. We're already getting some great comments coming through. So thanks to everybody who's been on here. I think what we'll do is we'll wrap it up from here. Any other, as we leave the contact details up there if you want to be in touch with us. And we'll be running a series of webinars going forward. We'll change topics, switch the topics up a little bit. So we'll talk about what's happening in the world of the gig economy, what could be interesting for freelancers, and basically how we can increase employability as we go further and further into the future of work, understanding that the future of work is now.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Bridget.
It's been a pleasure, and I wish everybody a wonderful Saturday evening and a great weekend ahead.
Cool.
Cheers.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.